Hello and welcome. We do have a very special guest with us on a particularly big day. Amit Singhal is with us, who's Senior Vice President and Google Fellow. Also the man behind search, right, across the world. So you're in charge of Google search, and given that Google search is by far the dominant player, every time somebody searches for anything, they should be thinking of you.
Well, you know, as I humbly say, if Google search doesn't work, they can always blame me.
And also think of you if it does go well.
And if it works well, then, you know, I'm so glad that they enjoy what we built.
Okay, but the good news for you is that more times than not, it does work. And I'm going to be asking you a little later as to how it works and how it works so well, because the reason it became really successful, Google search, is because it tends to throw up the right contextual answers and not just some random stuff which you don't want. Would you agree that that's the real reason for its success?
Absolutely true. Like when people come to search for something, we have to find them exactly the right thing every time. I say to my team that in golf terminology, you always have to hit a hole in one every time, because that's why people are here. And if we can't really do that, then in some sense we are not doing our jobs right. And that focus on users, that focus on relevance, turns into the product that you see today.
Right. I'll come back to search in some detail, but I do want to partly talk about what's happening this week. And we've had this Internet Alliance, which is being launched, which essentially is about trying to take the internet in India to the next level, which is to the Hindi speakers, to Tamil speakers, Telugu speakers, all of that. By that smile on your face, I can tell you're really excited about this.
I am so excited about this. I can't tell you how this would completely change the experience of our users in India. India already has about 200 million English-speaking users. Almost all of them are already on the internet. We want to make sure that over 500 million Indian users are on the internet by 2017. Now that's almost half the country using the internet. And I'm so excited because I've seen the benefits of when people use internet, their lives improve, and I'll talk a lot about it. I want to bring that benefit to each and every person in India, because after all, this is the place I was born and raised.
Yeah, your origins, of course, are here, IIT Roorkee, and we'll ask you how it's going. And you do come back quite often, twice a year.
Of course,
you were telling me
yes,
But you know, just as to how this practically works. So one of the elements is the search now going to be available in Hindi. Yes. How would that work?
So when you analyze what's happening in Hindi and other Indian languages, there are few pieces of the puzzle that you need to put together to make sure that search, the internet, is available to these users. The very first piece of the puzzle is, of course, having content in Hindi. And that's where we are launching today the Indian Language Internet Alliance with a lot of wonderful partners here in India, so that there's a lot of content that comes online in Hindi and in other languages going forward. But at the same time, that is only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is users being able to find that content in the modality, in the language they are comfortable in. So in addition to building this alliance, we are launching today a speech recognition system so that you can simply talk to your phone in Hindi and find the content that you're looking for. So when you combine that input methodology of speech recognition and with all the content that's on the internet, now suddenly lots of people in the most natural way can find lots of information. Information changes lives.
Well, you know, I have to say, in the interest of full disclosure, of course, NDTV is one of the founding members of that alliance. And what really has got us so excited about this is that, as you said, so far the internet has largely been an English experience. But in India, the vast majority of people don't necessarily speak English as their first language. It's Hindi, it's Tamil, it's Telugu. And at some point, the next big wave is going to come when the internet reaches them. And that's really what fires us up and says that content must be available.
Absolutely. And it opens all kinds of opportunities, not only for our users, for the businesses around the country, because they can now reach a swath of users which was not available to them before. And when it comes to Hindi internet and Hindi search, it's very personal to me because I have numerous people in my family, my mom, who can manage in English but are really not comfortable typing and reading in English. My mom particularly would like to just speak naturally in Hindi and be able to find whatever she is looking for. So in some sense, for all these years, I have been building a product so that my mom can eventually use it. Today, I am getting very close to that.
That's really interesting story. So what did your mother tell you, for example? What did she say that? How would she like to use them? She must have been telling you that all this Google stuff and all is very nice, but what do I do with it?
So when the very first Android tablet came out, I gave my mom a tablet because I saw that she wouldn't be sitting down and using a computer. And so mobility just changes how you use things. So I gave her the first tablet. And immediately I could see she didn't really want to type in English. She wanted to find some music or some bhajan or a recipe. But she was very uncomfortable typing in English, and our Hindi speech recognition wasn't there. So I couldn't really say, Mom, we got this covered. But today I can say, just go ahead, touch that mic, say whatever you want, and you'll find it.
So just to take that a little forward, what she could have, of course, done is you do have Hindi or Devanagari keyboards that have been available. But that's also slightly cumbersome to be typing out in Hindi.
Absolutely. So, if you look at the Devanagari keyboard that ships standard, it is not really the best keyboard we could ship. So today I'm also happy to tell you that we are making a new keyboard available in Play Store, which is far more intuitive and that would allow people to type better. So not only can you type better, but we are very excited about the fact that you can just speak naturally and words would automatically appear.
But now with speak recognition, what you can essentially do is say, Amit Singhal ke baare mein batao, and it would find it.
Absolutely. I put one of my phones in Hindi mode just yesterday, and I've been using it in Hindi by speech. It works fluently.
So how complicated, what could you say to it and what would it be able to tell?
I was just looking for all the information I needed. I'm a big fan of Jagjit Singh, so I just said Jagjit Singh, found his pictures, his songs, so on and so forth. I was trying to remember where New Delhi railway station was because I used to go there regularly and relative to where I am. So I just said New Delhi railway station, and of course, boom, there was a map of New Delhi railway station, and I could just do anything I wanted to do. That was such a wonderful experience. I've been living this for the last 24 hours.
And if you were to say New Delhi railway station ke liye rasta bataiye, to it would find it. So how natural language does this become?
So we are
आज इस बाजार में गेहूं का दाम क्या है?
So we are starting out by building this speech recognition system so that we can give it to our users, and with time we add a lot of natural language capability. So in English, for example, you can ask simple things like how tall is Barack Obama or how old is Narendra Modi. We just answer that because we have built a huge natural language processing engine behind it. We are starting out with speech recognition and search in Hindi, and down the road we will add all the natural language capabilities so that you can do anything you want by a touch of a mic.
Right, so that's really interesting. Now, when it comes to taking this to everybody, as you said, the content needs to be available, and partners are now working on getting that content available. You've got to be able to search it, you've got to be able to find it. The other important part of the puzzle, of course, was making sure that devices are available in enough people's hands where you can get them the internet at cheap enough price points. And that's again starting to happen. I was talking to Sundar just a couple of months back when he was here with the launch of Android One, 6,000 rupee phones. Is that the other big thing which is required?
So, there's content on one side. There is ability to use a phone in natural language, native language, the second piece of the puzzle, and then having an affordable smartphone with good connectivity is the final piece of the puzzle, and that's how you complete the picture. So with Android One, we are so excited that we can bring very high quality phones to our users in India at 6,000 rupees price point, and these phones are as powerful as the phones I used to use in America a few years back. Just like, maybe, a year or two back. This is an amazing phone. The phones that I'm seeing out there.
Price points are coming down, but that connectivity is still an issue because bandwidth is not that good. We just saw the SoftBank chairman out here. He was speaking to the Prime Minister and saying, look, you want to build a information superhighway, but your spectrum is still only bicycle tracks. Yeah. That's potentially still a big problem.
Indeed, connectivity will be needed, and anything that the commercial entities and the government can do to bring connectivity to our users, to the users of the entire mobile system at a low price point would tremendously help the nation, because information would flow to every citizen of the country. And once information flows to every citizen of the country, not only do they live better lives, not only do their loved ones live better lives, we actually have a more vibrant democracy of informed citizens. And that's a dream country to live in. And so I would really encourage everyone to be a part of this movement.
I'm just thinking of what a fully connected India could possibly do. When you consider the role that Indians are now playing all throughout the technology world, I mean, if you just take a look at all the top tech companies, who's there who's not an Indian now?
Well,
I mean, you must be, I'm wondering whether in Silicon Valley do you speak now, is the normal language Hindi? Is that one of the reasons why you guys set all this up?
Well, Silicon Valley is a wonderful melting pot of amazing people from around the world, Indians included. And, it's a joy to be there. But tremendously, the country is vibrant, and getting information down to every citizen would completely change the texture of our nation here, and we really need to do that.
But it's also a question of inspiration, which a lot of people take from Nadella. Satya Nadella has there, the head of Microsoft. Sundar, Nikesh was there at Google a little earlier. It's across the board. There seem to be Indians who are really moving into top positions. What's one of the reasons why Indians have been able to do so? I mean, tell us about your own journey from IIT Roorkee through.
So, I of course graduated from IIT Roorkee in 1989 and worked here in India for a year in New Delhi, and then moved to the United States to get my master's and my PhD. And I became a publishing academic, and I joined Google in 2000 to basically practice what I studied as an academic. And here I am 14 years later. It has been a wonderful journey. And if I look back, I say, hey, what was the foundation that allowed me to get here today? And I, of course, alongside a very loving family and encouraging parents, what I can figure out, one of the key ingredients was the love for education that India has. Every parent in India wants to educate their child and give them the best education. So did mine. And the educational institutions that we have built, like the IITs, have allowed us to produce the best in the world. And then when you have the best people, best minds being trained in the best institutions, well, guess what? Down the road, they become the best executives, the best scientists, and so on and so forth that you are seeing today in Silicon Valley and around the world. So it's the education system that we have built here and the desire for education that Indians have that allows us to succeed.
I mean, the desire for education I get, but there are a lot of people within India now who are still questioning whether we still have the best educational institutions, or whether, I mean, you now see a lot of parents telling their children, go abroad, study. What's starting to change is a lot of them are coming back after studying abroad, but are the educational institutions still good, do you think?
Look, everything can always be improved, especially something as fundamental as education. So, clearly, our educational institutions, the high-tech institutions like the IITs, are world-class. There's just no doubt about that. Okay. At the same time, we need to pay a lot more emphasis on education before there, so that the entire country can benefit from the wonderful education that we can provide our children. And that would be a dream country to live in.